You know what's absolutely fascinating? Some people can walk through fire surrounded by toxic individuals, constant manipulation, endless drama, and come out the other side not just intact, but stronger. Meanwhile, others crumble after just one encounter with a narcissist. What's the difference? It's not luck, it's not genetics, it's psychology. And here's what shocked me when I dove into the research. Survivors of toxic people share 5 specific mental patterns that act like psychological armor. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will completely change how you protect your mental health and why some people seem immune to toxicity while others absorb it like a sponge. 1. They master emotional detachment without becoming cold. Here's the thing most people get wrong about surviving toxic individuals. They think you need to build walls and shut everyone out. But that's not what resilient people do. They've mastered something psychologists call strategic emotional detachment. Think of it like this. Imagine you're watching a movie. You can feel the emotions, understand the story, but you're not in the movie. That's exactly how survivors process toxic behavior. When a manipulator tries to guilt trip them, they observe it happening rather than absorbing it. Dr. Sherry Campbell, a clinical psychologist specializing in toxic relationships, found that people who survive toxic environments have 60% higher emotional regulation scores than those who struggle. They recognize manipulation tactics, love bombing, gaslighting, triangulation, but they don't internalize them. You know what's crazy? They're not naturally gifted at this. Most learned it through painful experience. They noticed that reacting emotionally to toxic behavior was like throwing gasoline on a fire. So they developed what I call the observer mindset. They feel their emotions, acknowledge them, but don't let toxic people dictate those feelings. 2, they've developed bulletproof boundaries and actually enforce them. Let me tell you something that changed my entire perspective on boundaries. Most people say they have boundaries, but survivors of toxic people, they treat boundaries like sacred law. Here's the difference. Average person says, I don't like when you criticize me in public. Survivor says, if you criticize me in public again, I will leave the gathering immediately. This is non-negotiable. See that? One is a preference. The other is a consequence-backed boundary. And here's the part that might make you uncomfortable. Survivors are willing to lose relationships to maintain boundaries. They've done the math. Temporary discomfort of enforcing a boundary beats the long-term damage of tolerating toxic behavior. I love how Dr. Ramani Durvasula puts it. Boundaries aren't mean. They're the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. That's powerful. 3, they refuse to play the victim role, even when they are the victim. Now, this is going to sound controversial, but stay with me. Survivors of toxic people have this almost supernatural ability to separate what happened to them from who they are. Let's be honest, when someone gaslights you, manipulates you, or abuses you, you are a victim. That's a fact. But here's what resilient people understand. Staying in victim identity gives power away. They acknowledge the harm, process it, then ask, what's my next move? This doesn't mean they excuse the toxic behavior, absolutely not. It means they refuse to let their abuser write their future story. They become the author again. You're probably wondering, how do they actually do this without denying reality? They practice what psychologists call radical acceptance with forward action. They accept, yes, this person harmed me. Yes, it was wrong. Yes, I deserve better. Then immediately follow with, and I'm choosing to focus on what I can control now. 4, they trust their gut over external validation. Here's the real question. Why do some people stay with toxic individuals for years, despite every red flag waving in their face? The answer? They've been conditioned to trust the toxic person's reality over their own intuition. Survivors? They've learned the hard way to trust that inner voice screaming, something's wrong here. I'll give you a real example. A friend once told me about her former boss who was textbook toxic, charming in public, cruel in private. Everyone said she was lucky to work for such a visionary, but her body knew differently. Migraines every Sunday night, nausea before meetings. Her intuition was screaming. Most people, they override those signals with logic, but he gives good opportunities. But everyone else likes her, but their family. Survivors have stopped doing that. When their gut says danger, they listen even when it means going against popular opinion. They'd rather be called paranoid than be proven right the hard way. 5. They practice ruthless self-compassion. Last one. And honestly, this might be the most important. People who survive toxic relationships have mastered something that sounds contradictory. Ruthless self-compassion. What does that mean? They're gentle with their own mistakes, but absolutely fierce about protecting their well-being. They forgive themselves for missing red flags, for staying too long, for hoping the toxic person would change, but they're ruthless about removing themselves from harm. Here's what this looks like in practice. After leaving a toxic friendship, instead of beating themselves up with, "How could I be so stupid?" they think, "I trusted because I'm a trusting person. That's not a flaw, but now I know better, and I'm choosing differently." They treat themselves like they treat their best friend going through the same situation. And that mindset, it's the foundation that makes everything else possible. If you're watching this right now and you're still feeling those tremors, the sleepless nights, or that crushing weight of self-doubt, listen closely. Trauma and growth coexist. You don't have to wait until you're perfectly healed to be considered strong. The very fact that you're here, trying to understand the psychology and fighting to set boundaries for your future, is proof that your transformation is already happening. Now, I have a question for you. Out of the 5 traits we discussed, which one do you find the hardest to develop? And if you're dealing with a toxic person right now, what is your biggest challenge? This community is incredibly supportive, so please share your story in the comments if you feel comfortable doing so. If this video helped you see toxic dynamics more clearly, hit that like button and subscribe for more psychology content that actually matters. Ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. Speaking of mental health struggles, in my next video, I'll reveal the psychology of people who are tired of existing right now, the silent patterns, the hidden signs, and the science-backed ways to rediscover meaning when everything feels exhausting. You won't believe what neuroscience has discovered about this epidemic. Take care of yourself. You deserve relationships that energize you, not drain you. I'll see you in the next one.